morning. My name is Pauline Joe. I'm a therapist here at LART Wellness Group. And today we've been talking about how the virtual world or how, working from home has impacted our lives as humans and as therapists. Um, L'Oreal, you had mentioned that there are some pluses and minuses from
Mhm.
working at home as opposed to the community. Kind of continue on to what you were saying. You were saying that actually working from home helps you increase your productivity in terms of motherly responsibilities.
Yes, as well as it enhanced my clinical ability because I'm not navigating the environment. When I was in the community, I was navigating the environment in ways where children will pop out from nowhere, or animals, or um, we may have to be agile enough to move our location or create different codes because of privacy, because there's a large home and there's multiple people in the home. And it was just a different space to navigate, whereas I feel like this is very secluded, and oftentimes people can take their devices into a small area with their earphones or their earbuds, and
Mhm.
we could really just be one on one instead of a lot of those other distractions, whether they're good or bad, interfering with session. You know, yeah, yeah. Most of my community-based services was around social advocacy versus clinical work. And I
Mhm.
feel that now that we're just telehealth, I'm doing more clinical work and less social advocacy because I'm not a social worker. I'm an LCPC. So this feels more organic. This feels more like a clinic based session versus when I would go into the homes. I felt like my identity was not very clear.
Oh wow. I really like this perspective that you're offering. I never considered that being in the community, although we can kind of see them in their element, can also be tough in that they actually have, say, more distractions. They're at home, you're there, but then everybody else is there, and it's not like when we're virtual where we can ask our clients, can you put it on your headphones or can you go into your car and talk to us?
Mhm,
Because that may look a little weird if we're in person.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would do, because I am a human service provider. So I would do things like buy the families groceries, take their family to get their prescriptions, drop the children off to school, pick the children up from school. I mean, I was navigating in their home like a family member,
Hmm.
which really distorted some of the roles and boundaries that I had as a clinician. Did I find clinical implication for my rationale for these things? Absolutely. If I'm looking at Maslow's hierarchy,
Hmm.
but in my innate need to do my job and responsibility, I primarily just wanted to do the therapeutic piece, the therapy piece, the cognitive therapy piece, and not a lot of the social advocacy and meeting their social needs.
Sure, yeah, it can definitely kind of be a blur at times. And definitely Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's really interesting in that um, sometimes we actually may see people's behaviors be different, say, if those needs are not met. But then the problem is sometimes those needs are so prominent and so overwhelming that we
Mm-hmm.
may spend so much time just getting that we
Mm-hmm.
can't actually get to, say, the clinical
Mm-hmm.
piece.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember working with adolescents where it would take me a year and a half to get to the trauma narrative. And with Zoom, it takes 4 sessions. It took 4 sessions. It took me a year and a half to build an
Mm.
alliance, to build trust, to show my level of commitment to this individual, this adolescent, advocating at the school, sitting in at team meetings, and all of that great stuff in person. So now I get a new client, same age, same demographics, but it only took us 4 sessions to begin the trauma narrative, whereas it took a year and a half with weekly, possibly 2 times a week sessions with this other adolescent I was seeing in the community.
Sure. So um, perhaps in that way, clients know when they turn on that camera or when they get that call that they know why we're calling,
Very
rather than like, oh, who's this random lady at my school, at my house, at the
yes,
library?
yes, yes, yes. They know. I love that. They know why we're calling. There's no misconception that, we're not running errands. We're not filling out, your entitlement documentations, although we can, but
Mhm.
that's not the primary role or purpose.
Sure.
We have a very clear, definitive purpose. And I enjoyed this. This has really helped balance my mental health because I'm not doing as many things. I would feel guilty because I was offering more support to my families, my community based families, than my own family. I'm at these other kids' school more than I'm at my kids' school. Wait
Mhm.
a minute, something is unbalanced here. Something is unbalanced here. So
Sure.
I like this, and I appreciate that we have been approved until 2023 in the state of Maryland to administer telehealth, and I really want to capitalize on that.
Oh wow, I did not know that. I actually wanted to say, ask my other clinicians here, um, what has your guys' experience been kind of, say, counseling or if, say, you're in a social work program, say, being a social worker out in the community, and do you see your skills being improved or not now that we're kind of on telehealth?
I can share a little bit. So, my practicum is in a substance use prevention center, and also like it's face to face, like an on site base. So, like this is my first time actually doing like the virtual counseling, when after I joined Latte Wellness Group, and it's very different, and like in on face to face I'm able to observe the postures, like the body language and a lot of things like much better, and also it's easy to keep my clients like focused, like get their concentration back. This is what I observe, because like online they're in their environment and they are easily to get distracted if there are something around them, and I need to put more efforts in to let them be able to get like pay attention on me. And actually I do have a very very interesting like finding that my throat is more tired when I'm actually doing telehealth, because I need to get like invest more energy to show more like different kind of tone, to like make my gestures and everything like be able to observe, to show my support. Yes, that's why like I feel like I usually when I was in the I can do like three to like three continuous like group counseling without hurting my throat, but now I do like three separate hours of like individual counseling. I would just feel like my throat is just, oh my god, it's very painful actually. So I do feel that it's a difference being there. And also like I do a lot of creative arts activity when I was in like a face to face, but like so because we have I can prepare the materials, I can prepare the worksheet, and also like let them to be creative like in the activities there. But like on the virtual counseling, of course I can still do that. Like it's still possible, but I need a client to prepare by themselves, and for younger clients, it's a little bit harder. Like I'd ask them to be able to prepare for the material things, and also like it's harder to engaging if we're actually doing the activities. So it is like I think like I definitely see the benefits of telehealth. Like people like can like have some like a mobile like not mobile like just traveling problems can actually be able to access the services. Definitely, if they actually really live far away from the site or like the counseling services, are actually being able to get enough services. And like they have like they cannot drive or actually have some disabilities can actually be able to get services like easier too. And also like for me like I definitely like save my time for like traveling and like the transportation things, and definitely it's really helping like saving my time to a lot of time. But like I think there's a definitely like pros and cons of telehealth. Yeah, and I really actually agree with. Actually, I really like to hear like L'Oreal, like your perspective, because this is something like new, like I haven't seen as the very good things of telehealth. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing.
I actually didn't know that your practicum prior to coming to Larty was in a substance use facility. Um, and it sounds like a big pro or positive for you in your practice is being able to know that clients will be able to show up because they just have to click on a link, and everyone's practically on their phones these days, as opposed to that barrier that I feel is kind of everywhere, but definitely transportation can always, make a or break our clients' abilities to be able to attend, say, if they have to take like 3 buses or they have to depend on someone else for a ride or whatnot. See, I'm actually wondering if I could call on you again to tell us more about like what your experiences were like to be in person in the substance use facility.
So like my practicing in the like intensive outpatient group. So this is my like what I most do like when my work with client. And we require because like this is substance use prevention centers, so it's a lot of them are actually having substance use problems or actually it's a prevention and recovery center, sorry. So it's like actually it involves a lot of like a lot of them actually have the um they're being like mandatory, like they are mandatory to come to the groups or to come to the services. So which actually I know a lot of them have transportation problem, because I know that they like a lot of them like come really early or come like need to or be late. And like we do not accept excuses for being late to the group, because like because they are mandatory to come to a group, and we need to like give them like send the reports to the others to their other services to help them to like get rid of the like charge or like to cut their like officers. So yeah, so definitely like it's hard, but I can see like a lot of them do have like problems struggling with transportation things. And also like when we are in a group, like because when people use a lot of substance, like it's easy to have some cognitive and like some emotional like management like problems and the behavioral management problem things. So we actually use a lot of creative arts activities to help them to try, because it's 3 hours group, it's really long, and we try to make the group as engaging as possible. So actually a lot of like our creative arts or like fun activities are being involved like in the treatment, so they are able to keep more attention or concentrations in a group. And also like of course we provides a lot of like psychoeducation. And because intensive outpatient group, as you said, like we do not know who are going to come, if the person is going to come tomorrow. Like it is like because it's really high dropout rate. So we just try to make the group like more psychoeducational based, so they can get enough information in one day, like in one 3 hour group, instead of like building the bonding and like showing a lot of like building a lot of bondings, and also like really focus on group dynamics. And to make the like to build the cohesion, it is really hard because like people just come and go. So it's really psychoeducational based. We prepare a lot of worksheets and just prepare a lot of informations every session, so they can get enough information in one thing. Yeah, this is, and actually like actually it's very interesting, like because of the pandemic, we try like virtual plus on-site. So because some of them may actually have get quarantined because of like they maybe have the positive of COVID, so they're not able to come anymore, or they have like, so people have anxiety because like coming to the site. So we do try to accommodate this situation and try to virtual plus on site, and which is really not, it's hard to working well because of the internet, like the connections, and also when people are actually on site, and it's easier to focus those people like actually being face to face rather than like people on the virtual. Like it's hard to engage them into the sessions because it's, yeah, it's hard to balance this thing. So I think it's very interesting to be able to like experience like completely in person plus virtual, and also completely virtual. So it's very interesting to try like different, really different kind of dynamics, and to like all different kind of ways to work and to make the things work out. Yeah.
That's really fascinating to me that your organization, prior to coming to LART, really tried to, say, adopt or model the hybrid model. Um, some pros, again, is that there's, say, more um, engagement, but then it becomes harder, especially for, say, maybe the mandated clients who had to always show up on time, having, knowing that, they're depending on public transportation, and they're often having like to get up early to spend so much time commuting. So it's sort of like, you know after experiencing all of that, and by the time they come to the clinic, they're already, say, tired, or they're exhausted. So then it's up to the clinicians to kind of re re-energize them, or to try to motivate them. Is what I've noticed from what she said. In my experience, prior to joining LRT, um, I was actually at another organization in Baltimore, and they were also online. But their model was more so like medical based, rather than it was like counseling based. And so, I would have my colleagues who are psychiatrists, and they would have like 10, 6 or to 16 clients a day, like in 20-minute intervals. And for me, I would have about 8 to 16. And that helped, and that didn't help. So it helped in that um, I could get to as many people, so I could, help my numbers, and help as many people. But then it was challenging because for the people who, say, really wanted to, utilize every single minute, as opposed to kind of those who just kind of did a quick check-in, it would be kind of hard for me as a clinician to, say, balance that. And then it then trickled down to like, how do I balance my like stress level and just my overall wellness when like every day is very like unpredictable, or it was kind of like me experiencing the extremes. I'm actually wondering from Yvonne, Yu Yang, or Courtney, um, or even Brittany, what has your guys' experiences been like in other settings, virtually or in person?
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry. um, I, this is actually the only counseling setting that I have experienced so far is being an intern. So I haven't experienced being in person. Um, I'll say that it does have its pros and cons, though, being virtual. The cons, of course, would be like connection or for the client to have, I guess, like access to a computer or to internet services. Um, and I would also say, in terms of me working with my adolescent clients, the cons with that for me that I've experienced would be, I guess, continuing with building that rapport with them, because I guess like trying to keep their focus, so to speak. Um, Other than that, being a part of this virtual setting, it has made it more convenient. It has made it a lot easier, but um, I'm honestly, um, I'm honestly ready to go in person. I think that'll be better for me, honestly.
No worries, Courtney. I'm happy to have you on the team, even if it is virtual, and I definitely hope to maybe meet all of you guys in person. But I can certainly relate in that um, I also had a client who was an adolescent, and so when I was kind of filling out the mental status exam, it's hard to know, like, when, say, that they're on their phone. Are they on other apps and they're listening to me? Um, is it maybe some type of mental health issue as opposed to attention issue? Is it like a motivation issue? Like, what might it be? So I would say that's also hard to be able to kind of assess fully with and utilize a mental status exam and consider that when we're doing our sessions. Um, Also, prior to the place that I was at before here, I was actually in person. I was going between two domestic violence shelters here in Maryland. And so, something that I miss about that kind of in person environment was I could literally just knock on a client's door and I could say, okay, like, would you like to talk or what's going on? And so I could kind of catch them as they were experiencing, say, crises, as opposed to me working more so when I'm an outpatient. It's sort of like they are describing their crises, but only say after, as opposed to being like right in the center of crisis. Um, that being said, does anybody else have any in person or like virtual comparisons that they'd like to share?
Um, Me, like just like Courtney said, this is my first experience virtual because I this is a career change for me. And so virtual for me, initially it felt a little awkward, when I first started. Um, but it has worked well for me. And the reason it has is that as I think about the demographic of clients that I have, ages, so forth and so on. I have a senior who doesn't really have access to technology, um, but she can use a phone. And I think for her to be able to travel someplace, go to an office or whatever, I think that would be a challenge for her. So I think that's been helpful for her to be able to engage with someone and talk with someone regularly without having to worry about traveling. And then I also have another client who works. She's a mom. I think it's convenient for her to be able to pick up their phone or we have telehealth and be able to provide her with those services without her having to think about another place that she has to go after getting home and trying to figure out how to get there and get back to her family because it's very important for her to be there for her children. She has an infant and she has another child. So I think for them, it's been really working well. And then I also have, another person, some who are professionals. It's convenient for them to be able to get home. They say they, unwind a bit and then get prepared for our session, and not having to drive someplace has been really working well for them. It's been helping them with their work-life balance as well. And for me, being at this stage of my life and I work a full-time job, it would be extremely challenging for me to have to drive different places, or just even go in the office. I mean, I would do it if I had to, but just having to drive, get home and do all that traveling, getting back and forth, it would be a challenge. So I really like it a lot. The only thing I find from time to time is I do wish I could face to face engage with them sometimes, depending on situations that are going on. And I think they also think about having that opportunity to actually meet me. They've mentioned it a few times here, and I would love if I could sit down with you and so forth and so on. One of my clients said that yesterday, and I was like, oh, I wish I could too. So those things happen from time to time, but I have been able to build a really good rapport with all of them, and just continuing to be their support, and just it's just helped me to be a better listener. I think I'm not seeing someone physically, but listening, that has developed over this period of time, my listening skills with my clients. So you know just the virtual itself, I'm happy about it right now. And just also too, with all what's going on with the pandemic, I would want to, as the other clinician said earlier, would want to have to go to people's homes and carry germs or carry them home even. And so, or gives anyone else, just the caution about the pandemic, and just being mindful of that as well. And having a senior, I would not want to cause anyone to, to get ill in any way or pick up something unknowingly. So I think about that too, causing any harm to others, as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. So the perspective that you're offering is um, one at safety concerns, kind of with the pandemic going on, but overall with telehealth, it has helped you be present at your full-time job, but also, do what you need to do in your internship to complete your hours. And you said something really interesting, which I wanted to bring up, but um, you mentioned that you're working with a senior, and um, there could be transportation issues, maybe mobility issues, as well as, again, not wanting to get your client sick or vice versa. I'm wondering, has anybody had any challenges with clients in terms of like initially engaging them? So, it's been hard for all of us clinicians to kind of navigate this whole virtual world and go to this meeting and that meeting. And say for our clients who are not in jobs that are um, forcing them or pushing them rather to get onto these different meetings. Have any of you guys ever had any challenges to get the client on video chat?
Um, are you saying in terms of the technical wise, or are you saying in terms of them just overall just being willing to participate within the session?
I can't hear you very clearly,
Yeah,
Courtney.
it sounded a little muffled. Could you start again, Courtney? Sorry.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I'm actually gonna put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, well, I can hear you clearly now.
Oh, okay, great. I was asking, are you saying getting the client to participate overall in general virtually, or are you saying in terms of having concerns with technical things?
I was actually referring to both. So, since we are, as a society, moving more into being dependent on technology, it's kind of like we've all been thrown and expected to just get on the computer. So, my question becomes, well, what do we do with our clients who, say, um, have never used a telehealth platform or who have never used a video chat?
Um, so far, I haven't experienced anyone who, let me see, I don't want to say this, anyone who has had like challenges with doing it. Do I have clients who aren't interested in doing it? They rather do it over the phone? Yes. Um, but in terms of them, the clients that I do work with that I actually see face to face virtually, um, no, I don't. I haven't experienced any of them having any challenges with doing so. For them and for myself, again, it's beneficial. Especially again with working with my adolescent clients, it has been really beneficial with them because I can, again, physically see what they're doing. I'm able to keep their attention, and then also if I feel like, or if I feel them, I guess losing like concentration or not really focusing, I'm able to pick up on that and try to bring them back into the session in other ways. So it gives me a chance to be more creative.
Sure. So for you, Courtney, it's actually challenged you very similar to what Xiao was saying, that um, you know, you have to be creative in picking up on other cues, or um, being engaging and being, say, interesting enough so that, say, our clients don't log off of telehealth, which really then means if they log off of telehealth, that means that they're, ending their session, which we, of course, want to maximize our time and keep them interested the entire time.
Exactly.
So I guess my last question is, if, say, we become in when we eventually get back to normal, or what the new norm is, and if, say, we have a little bit more choice, so if the virus is under control and we can kind of do whatever we want a little bit more freely, do you guys have a preference of if you would solely want to stay virtual, solely be hybrid, or solely be in person?
For me, I would be willing to go hybrid, especially depending on the client and their needs.
Oh, go ahead, Brittany.
Oh, no, I was just going. Good morning, everybody. I was just going to agree with Courtney. Um, there are some clients that I'm noticing that enjoy the virtual telehealth, and I definitely think there's, especially the younger generations, um, some people in the younger generations gravitate better towards the virtual setting, but there's also some people who prefer that face-to-face contact, and like Courtney said, kind of meeting the needs of as many people as possible.
I like that. The fact that, um, if we're able to continue, if we're able to actually adopt a hybrid model, um, even say maybe at Larty, if Frank is watching, will be able to meet the needs of the client depending on, say, what they prefer.
Yes, I agree with that. I would, hybrid would be fine for me. I like to be flexible for the clients. So I am open either way. Virtual is, it has its pros and cons, but yeah, I would definitely be flexible.
Yeah, I can also do both. And I think hybrid is okay because some of my clients need to just come to the session after work, and the commute is kind of troubling stuff for them if all the session come to the in-person way. And some others of my clients, they just maybe at a like younger age, and that it's not easier for them to be like fully engaged during a session, and maybe the like face-to-face session could help us to like incorporate more like play therapy or something, like to just have more like interaction, and something could like attract their attention, something like that. And I think just based on the client's needs. And yeah, but I've never been to an in-person setting before, so I'm just looking forward to see how it likes and how it, yeah.
Thank you for your perspective, Yu Yang. I think for me as well, um, I don't know how much I show on camera, but I'm a very like extroverted social person. I have generalized anxiety, so I sort of just get anxious at like whatever. But I think what I'm finding is whenever I'm asking my coworkers questions, say virtually, I feel like I'm, say, more of a nuisance, um, because they're not within, say, arm's reach. But then that kind of becomes also a boundary issue, because in person, I also don't want to seem like, I'm a nuisance and I'm bugging them. But I do miss kind of having that like quick like chats, or those quick say responses, as opposed to now when we're virtual, it's like I have to wait for the meeting, or I have to wait for them to respond back, and I don't know how long it's going to take for them to respond back. Well, I want to thank you all for this discussion today, and I look forward to us speaking again hopefully soon.
Thank you, Pauline Joe.
Thank
Have a great
you
day, all.
much.
You guys have a great day.
Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
You too.